Get lifetime access to all 13+ Andrew Tate courses.
It's different now that the house is 450 grand, you're earning 40 grand a year. Now it's a very different scenario. So when your parents or older people say, yeah, do property, it was great back then. Now I don't think it's nearly as competitive as it was. I think that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. I think the poor are getting outpriced of most assets. I think that some of the biggest mistakes poor people can make or middle income people can make is chase assets they can't simply can't fucking afford. And the only way they can do it is to indent themselves to a bank with interest and enslave themselves for X amount of years, destroy their flexibility to try and pull off owning one property, and owning one ain't gonna make you rich anyway. You gotta own as many as you do. And what I'm saying is, there's a small percentage of people who benefit from property, just like there's a small percentage of people who benefit from crypto or stocks. How many people lose in the stock market?
Most.
Exactly.
How many people lose in Forex? Nearly all.
All, correct. Yeah. So this is the same with every investment. The reason I'm only attacking property is because property is the one everyone says is safe as houses, good for everybody. No, it is not. Depends on your circumstance. That's my problem with property. In my scenario, or your scenario, how can we lose? If I buy a house for $5 million, and I'm never, ever, ever gonna need that money, I can wait until the day I die to sell it. Then I'm always going to make money. The property prices have crashed to $3 million, and I don't sell it.
Yeah.
Who cares? It doesn't matter to me. If I had a mortgage on it, it'd matter. It was my only property, it'd matter. If inflation is 20%, my wages are going up 1% a year. All this shit matters, but not to me, not to you. We're the 50, but 950 people here need to join the real world and learn how to make money a different way, because we teach you how to make money with nothing. If you make money with nothing, you can't lose. That's the beauty of it. You can lose if you invest in a house. You can't lose if you don't spend any money.
But if you raise money from other people, because money is infinite and everywhere, and partner up with someone and put that into property, that's money out of thin air, and then you buy, hold, die, you can't lose.
To a degree.
And inflation. One thing we haven't talked about yet. You have more good debt mortgages. Inflation's paying 20% that down a year for you.
Absolutely not really true. And I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody who's ever bought a house is lost. I only talk about this because the majority of my audience are 18 to 25, 26. They're being told by people much older than them that they buy a house, they'll be financially secure, and I'm telling them that that is simply not the case. And also, there's a bunch of intangible disadvantages, like the absolute inflexibility of the house. I don't know in your experiences, but people I know have spent 2-3 years trying to sell a house. 2 years is eternity. Eternity. 2 years ago, we were locked in our houses. 2 years ago is forever. So, if you're going to accept that degree of inflexibility, if you're going to accept that degree of obligation, I think for many people that is a mistake. I think there's better ways to make money, and I think that renting is a lot safer for people. Especially now we're living in a world where a lot of money is made online. I have so many people who can make money online. If you're making money online, even living in a Western country is stupid. Go to Thailand. Live for a fraction. Be safer. Not get stabbed. Like even living in the West in general is dumb if you're making money online, and more people are. So my point is nuanced. There's absolutely exceptions to the rule. There's absolutely scenarios in which I'm totally wrong. It's a nuanced point I'm trying to condense, and I'm saying that property used to be the cure-all for everybody. Get a normal job, work in a factory, pay off your house, be good. It's not like that anymore.
No, pension money is not going to be yours, is it?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like that anymore. And also, what did we say earlier about competitiveness? We said that there are people out there in the world competing with me, and there's people out there in the world competing with you. You're a property shark. You just said it. You're an animal. They're competing with you. Like you can pay more for it and overpay for it because you know you're gonna have whatever. You can buy the houses next door and put shit tenants in them. Like if you want to fuck somebody, you could. So they're also competing with sharks, and this is the point I'm making. The reason I'm anti-property is because often it's a 24-year-old guy who just got his first good job out of uni. He might be able to, if he eats ramen noodles for the next 15 years, pay off this fucking council terraced house in Liverpool. And I'm like, bro, that is not gonna save your life. You're gonna be 50 in a shit house. That's dumb.
So are you saying to earn your money from a standing start, putting money into property is probably not good, but when you've got wealth, parking it into property is good?
Correct. I think that if you have a lot of wealth, parking your money into assets in general is good. I think that property is a pretty safe asset overall, globally. It does go through some ups and downs, but property performs, it's certainly a fantastic place. I think as a way to generate wealth, there's some people who say it can be done, that's fine, but I think it's very inflexible. I've always preferred flexibility. I think we now live in a world where a lot of money can be made online, a lot of money can be made from a phone, a lot of money can be made from a computer. And also, this all ties back into the very beginning where I said the ultimate bottom line of the world is violence. Property seizure is a perfect example. You mentioned property seizure.
Surely that's something I wanted to ask you. I feel like that's the last thing they'll take before a full-on fucking war. Like they'll take everything else first. They'll call in the gold. they'll debase money. That'll all happen before your fucking house.
Well, if they're going to do it to the whole population, I agree. But if they're going to do it to an individual, I disagree.
Yeah,
if you don't pay your parking ticket, they'll take your house. Sooner or later. May take a year, may take 2 years. They will take your house. So my question is this: do you own it? This is my problem with property. I own my house. Do you? If they can take it off you anytime you annoy them?
No. If you don't pay your mortgage for 3 months, you'll see you own your house.
Yeah, that's right. If you don't pay your taxes, see you own your house. If you don't wear a mask when they tell you to, and you get a fine for not wearing a mask, and you think that's injustice, and you don't pay the fine, and they add money to the fine, then it goes to court, you're supposed to turn up, you don't, they send a bailiff, you tell the bailiff to get fucked, they will take your house. So if you don't wear a mask, they take your house. So do you own it? This is a philosophical question, and you can answer. Do you feel like you own your property? Because I would argue that you don't own shit.
Philosophically, I don't think I own anything.
Well, I would actually disagree with that again. I think that there are things you can own in this world.
Well, philosophically though. You said philosophically.
Okay, but
like
it was
when I'm dead, I'll own nothing.
Well, that's true. Okay, then it was a hypothetical argument. It's a hypothetical point I'm making. When people say I own property.
No, I agree with you, because I answered your question philosophically. Don't think I own anything. You don't own your own property either as a structure, that's all we'll say. No, I don't think I own my property. I think I own the income it creates.
Correct.
And the capital appreciation I get.
I would say you own the income it creates when it's not in a bank, when it's in your hand for a while. You own it, yeah. But
yeah, well, I always take the income. The income comes to me. Now, obviously, if what happened to you happened to me,
then you wouldn't own it.
Then I could be fucked.
Yeah, you wouldn't own the property. If you got cancelled to the level I got cancelled, you would own none of that property, and you would not own the income either, because your bank would be frozen. You would own none of it.
What if the assets weren't in my name?
Well, then you might be okay. But this is my point. My point is but you're a shark who can afford complicated legal structures. Joe Schmo is getting a mortgage in his name.
But you teach Joe Schmoes to become sharks, don't you? That's what you do.
That's the goal, yeah. But this is when I say I'm anti-property, it's because of the exact scenario I described earlier. 24-year-old buying a house, get a mortgage in his name, he owns it, and I say, listen, my friend, one, that's not gonna make you rich. Two, you don't even own it.
But I mean, owning it though, like, what's that all about? Why does it matter if you own it? I like, you have a lot of cars. I don't have 30, but I think I have 6 or 7. I don't own a lot of them. I don't own my Aventador. Yeah, I don't own it. I don't want to own it.
Completely. I understand, and that there's a financial benefit to doing that. I get it. But property is something different, because your cars are a toy, and property is supposed to be an investment. And the point is that the whole idea of home ownership is a false paradigm.
I think we're now moving towards saying the same thing, because I agree. I think selling you of getting into debt, the average American pays £600,000 in their lifetime in interest. The house that they've got you in debt in is a trap, and then you pay half of your money in tax, and then you pay £600,000 in your life in interest. Yeah. I think liberation is when you turn property into an investment.
I agree with you. And for me, it's just a philosophical thing where I think that anything that can be taken off of you, you don't own. So for me, once again, you're in a unique scenario, as am I. But if you're Joe Schmo, owning it is never going to make you rich in any considerable, serious amount of time. 20 years from now, you might get hit by a bus. That's forever. I don't think that long term. All of my plans are 3 to 4 months maximum. And the benefit of renting it versus ownership, well, you can get kicked out either way, and you lose all your flexibility. What's the point? Now, once you're sitting there going, I have $7 million in the bank, I don't know what to do with it. Sure, it's property. Of course, put together a complicated legal structure and owns property. Absolutely. But I don't think that applies to most people who come to me and say, my mom said I should buy a house. You're a dummy. Your mom did something that doesn't work anymore, and you're still a dummy.
Thing is, sometimes your parents love you so much they give you bad advice.
Well, they give you the advice that worked for them.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. It's worked for them. So absolutely, why would they believe it doesn't work anymore? They're putting money in a savings account and getting interest on the money, like 4 or 5% interest on the money, and then buying a house for 1 year's salary that went up 10x. I'm sure it sounds like a great idea. Imagine if it was still that way right now. I'd tell everyone to buy a fucking house, but it isn't. And then you add into the fact that the government is getting more and more tyrannical. You add into the fact that violence is the bottom line. You add into the fact they will take your fucking house off you. What did they do in Canada to the truckers? When the Canadian truckers got tired of COVID, they went and they protested, and they lost their houses and lost their cars and lost their fucking pets. They euthanized their dogs. You know that?
I didn't know that.
They euthanized their dogs.
I knew that they clawed money out of bank accounts.
They euthanized their dogs and stole their money from their bank accounts. So a man who worked his entire life driving across Canada in a truck, who was a proud home owner, found out very fucking quickly that you don't own anything. It's a scam. So for me, especially as somebody in my situation, my precarious situation, which we described at length, somebody who is an enemy of the matrix, considering that property is the most controlled matrix asset that exists, considering that if they could take it off me, they fucking would, I need to find assets which are very, very difficult to seize.
Decentralized hard assets, you mean?
just there are a whole bunch of things in the world which are actually very difficult to take.
Get lifetime access to all 13 plus Andrew Tate courses. Link in description and comments.